Okay, hi. Okay, today we have a chart to do we're doing a chart with no time. So a lot of times you get famous people where you're looking at somebody who don't have a time. Like, you still have lots of information to work with. It's kind of like a different puzzle, but it's like if you meet someone, you walk down the street and you see someone coming across the street, you see it's a friend, you can wave and say hi. Okay, that's there. Then if you meet someone walking down the same side of the street as you, you can say, wait, make fake hands or give them a hug or say hi. You're a little more personal. But if you meet someone and you really know them and they come in the house with you, go home with you, can be much more intimate, much more personal with you. So you can know someone, you just know someone's birthday. So you can know their sun sign. Maybe you know what day you're born. Like the sun sign, even the sun sign, you can know some information from. That's like across the street down the block, but you can still know, oh, here comes so and so. But if you got the day of birth, you got the degree of the sun. With the degree of the sun, you still have the nature of the sun sign. You still have that character to work with, and you can still see the transits as they conjuncture oppose or conjuncture square oppose that sun sign. So you can still see that factor, and you can somewhat guess about the age. So you can sort of get a sense of around where Saturn would be to Saturn. But there's still things you can say. It's if you know someone's birthday, and birth year, you got the planets and the sun, the moon, the planets, the moon. You don't know exactly. This is going to be within a certain, it'll move from 12 inches or 12 or 13 degrees in a day. So the moon will set up a different puzzle. So when I don't know someone's time, I do the chart for noon when they were born. And that noon gives the moon, it's the middle of their day, and the moon will be in its mid position, and it'll be within 7 or 8 degrees of where it would be. So it's still, you're minimizing the error of where it could be. The moon's would be just within 15 degrees. So you're still fairly close. Doesn't change things that much. You're still going to have the pattern type. You're still going to have the moon phase. Occasionally it may change, but generally the moon phase will hold. So a lot of in I guess what I call it your Western astrology, but a lot of American and West, Canadian, it's all over. A lot of astrology would say, well, it's all based on memorize the houses and everything happens to you inside the houses. So if you don't know someone's time, oh my goodness, you have to rectify the chart. You have to make up a time that's going to work and work with that to get information. Well, unfortunately, when you do that, you can do it prematurely and have a wrong chart and give wrong information and forget that you rectified it or whatever. It's just rectification more often not as wrongification or just a justification for trying to make a change. So you have something to work with. I never liked it. The few people I knew who really worked seriously with rectification, they would be like a lawyer. You give them $1,000 or $2,000 retainer, and they start working on it, and then 1 or 2 they'll work through it, and they'll see if they get to it. And for me, I tend to watch a chart. If I have a client don't know the time, I'll do the chart like that, and then over the years, if we see them, I'll begin to become more sensitive to the timing, more sensitive thing, and I'll be able to see, oh, it's probably more here than there. And I'll take several years to adjust a chart. I'd rather work with what I know is correct and know the limits of what I'm working with than have a factor in there that's not reliable. So, it's to do a rectification. You have to not only, first of all, make sure the sun and the moon and the planets, especially the sun and moon, are in appropriate houses, that the houses that are in the rising, the setting, above, below the house concerns, that these are valid areas for this, that they seem to relate to the person. Then that leaves you with an ascendant within a couple of 1 or 2 signs. Then you have to do most of the major events in life and make sure you'd still have the planets, the sun and the moon. The moon would be tightened up. But you'd still have to make sure that you'd have to watch when Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto crossed each angle. You have to do that across life for each different specific time to see which one was the most activated or which one was most alive. Then you'll begin to start coming to it. And then once you get to that, then you begin to watch the Jupiter. Jupiter's harder to see exactly, but then you see the Mars transits and triggering things off more exactly. And you watch, they have to march Mars for a number of years, touching those angles to see that they're active or responding to the transits. Then once you have that, you have the first relatively seriously assessed option or two. You get one or two main options. The really significant test will be when the progressed planets progress and they cross over the angle of the chart, and if that's valid. That's that when planets crossing the angles in the progressed chart adds a much more deeper degree of accuracy and comes in. So we're coming to that. We don't have to think about this now. So there's many ways to. It's a common, adjust my chart. Some people have systems, oh yeah, we'll adjust this when your dad died. Okay, we'll adjust it to here. And they just have their system and they adjust it by. I wouldn't base my life decisions on it. So that's my approach. Lots of ways to use astrology, lots of ways to find information. But what we're going to do here is we're going to try and work through just the chart using the noon chart, using what we know. So this is an April 1st chart, 1949. At noon, New Britain, Connecticut. So at noon, we're going to go through the same steps, but we won't have the same point systems, the same steps. We won't have any houses to work with. We'll see that it's a bucket chart. And in this, there's only one choice for a bucket. And that would be, even then, the Neptune opposing these planets. The Jupiter's out by itself. Mercury is technically just a degree or so out of orbit of this, so it could be argued about it being a bundle, about it being a bucket. But I would call it a bucket. It's not from the Saturn to Jupiter is well past it, but here because if the Mercury were in Pisces, I would probably not call it a bucket because it's in Aries and it's a wide conjunction, and there's so many other planets right there. I would pull this hold this as if it were the conjunction, as if it were the opposition one planet. So I put Jupiter as the handle. Otherwise, you'd be looking at what would be the locomotive. So but I would call this the handle with Jupiter of opportunity being on the handle of the bucket, the opportunity, expansion, the travel, the luck and the vision and the learning about things. Okay. So that's someone who takes all their energy, like a bowl, has all their energy in one area and pours it out. The bowl pours it to the other half, is trying to fill up the empty half, but the bucket gets it all together, but pours it out to that one planet, pours it out to that Jupiter planet, puts the focus on the Jupiter planet, on the handle of the bucket. So the Jupiter becomes strongly accentuated here, and here's the Jupiter in Capricorn. Don't know what houses, that's okay. So Jupiter works best when it's responsible, or when it's aligned to Saturn, or when it's being responsible. So in this case, good timing, knowing the timing, understanding the time to do things, knowing when. So even though it's not Saturn, Saturn's the planet of time, this is the understanding of time and the implications of it. And the Jupiter there in Capricorn is well enforced, no bad aspects to it, it's just the handle of the bucket. The moon phase, it's the waxing new moon phase. The sun is in Aries, the moon's in Taurus, it's just at the new moon phase. Just, if you looked at the sky at sunset, you would see just the thinnest crescent, the beginning crescent in the Arab worlds and in native Indian worlds and in some of the Chinese places, this new moon, certainly in the Muslim world, this new moon is the lucky, it's really the beginning of the cycle. So you have that beginning sliver of light. It's coming, it's a new beginning, it's the beginning of the light increasing out of the greater darkness. Okay, so we're just going to talk about it and go around it and try and get comfortable with it, so you know that you can actually see what we can see what we can do. You're not gonna, you can't be as specific as relating to the houses, but you still can see attitudes, themes. You still know where planets are. You're still going to see changes going on, and you still see the general style of the person. So you have the Sun in Aries, the Moon in Taurus. We don't have an ascendant to compare it to. So this is Aries and Taurus. When you think about it, both are daylight increasing, both is daylight greater. This is a strong I, me person. I want to, I, me, and I have this, I'm doing this, and this. This is a very strong self-centered person. I, me, I have. Aries towards the springtime of daylight increasing, daylight is greater. And it's enough that the Aries wants to impulse and start things anyways. The new moon wants to impulse and start things too. And this is going to be not your thing, my things. I know what this. I know what I'm going to do. It's going to have a strong sense of their self and what they want to do. Okay. Okay. Too detailed, too fast. We'll just go through 5 points I am, 2 points I have. I think, 1 point I think, 1 point I will, 1 point I analyze, 1 point I balance, 1 point I use. But having and being, I am and I have are the two primary themes, two primary keywords. I am and I have. How'd you get what you have? I did it. I'm doing it. Watch me. So I have a very strong, individually driven person. What's outstanding when you think of the contrast to it, someone with a Libra and Scorpio moon would be much more socially driven and communal, involved in other people, involved with trying to make things happen, be committed and be serious. It would have a much more judgmental aspect to it with the moon in Scorpio as opposed to Taurus. There's two different things. They're a very strong, independent person with their own sense of what they want and what they want to do. Okay. When we look at the light increasing, when we saw the Sun and Moon, the light increasing, and the Sun and Moon are both daylight increasing, both daylight is greater, both in springtime, daylight is increasing, daylight is greater. And so we see that strong here. Here again, when we take all the planets, there's 9 points daylight increasing, 3 points darkness increasing. So the need to be, not only am I independent Aries, I've got to be more independent. I got to do more. Not am I doing my own thing. I got to do it more. I'm doing this. Watch me. I'm doing it. So you have that trying to be more independent, not less. Trying to do more individually, not less. And daylight is greater, 10 points, and 2 points darkness is greater. So the sense of I am and I'm being me is really strong. It's not only is it strong, it's trying, the night daylight's increasing, so it's trying to get more independent, but it's already really independent. It's trying to get more. It's driving to do more things. It's a dynamo, very independent dynamo, but this would be possibly intimidating to, well, for the Aries, any Cancer, Libra, it's like doing so much, but it's so independent. It's not necessarily aligned. We depend on the houses, but we don't know the houses. We can't go there. We're looking without it, just using what we got. Then when we see the cardinal and the fixed and the mutable, we see 7 points cardinal, 3 points fixed, 2 points mutable. So again, not only is it independent, driving, impulsive, it's cardinal, it's pushing, it's forcing issues, it's proving things. The Aries have something to prove. Want to play chicken with me? I'm going to do it. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's going to go. It's going to know what to do. Okay.